Hey folks, Justin Cupler here with another AutoGazine.com review. I'm in a 2017 Toyota Corolla SE 6-speed manual. So other than it being a row your own gear kind of thing, that 6-speed manual brings a lot of other stuff to the table. It also gives you a standard SE package. So that package adds in things like the 7-inch infotainment system, the Toyota InTune system, a sunroof, and a couple other goodies here and there. If you go with the base CVT model, yes, the base model is actually the CVT, and the optional model is the manual, which costs about $1,200, $1,300 more. You get the basics. You get a 6.1-inch touchscreen and a couple other small things here and there. Now let's talk about the 2017 Toyota Corolla lineup as a whole. What has changed? Not a whole lot, other than one massive thing: safety. Toyota has decided to take its TSSP, the Toyota Safety Sense package, and spread it across its entire lineup, with the exception of a few vehicles. The latest one to get it, the Corolla. This gives you things like lane departure warning, steering assist, it gives you automatic emergency braking, and more impressively, dynamic radar cruise control. So if you're cruising down the road, set your cruise control at 65 miles an hour, the guy in front of you slows down to 55, it slows down for you. You don't have to worry about it. The only problem with that system is it does not come to a complete stop. So don't expect, like some of the more premium models, for this to just come to a complete stop when you're in stop and go traffic. It doesn't do that. It will stop you maybe in an emergency, but it's not designed to do that. Another issue I have with it is the same issue I have with Lexus's lane keep assist, is that steering assist isn't very active. It's not predictive. It doesn't see you're fading off to one side of the lane and pull you back center like Acura does. This one will physically let you go out of the lane before it pulls you back in. And when it pulls you back in, it's pretty abrupt. And so it's not tuned as well as Acura's. But I think there might be a reason behind that, because Acura's is so well tuned that some people have been known to tape a soup can to one side of the steering wheel and just let the car drive itself. Maybe Toyota did that just to avoid that issue altogether. Couldn't imagine them doing it, but it's a possibility. Let's talk about some of the other things I like about this car. The interior. The interior of the SE trim is pretty incredible, I gotta say. For being a near entry-level sedan rather, it's pretty well equipped. The SE model gets you, the nice little lacquer black surround around the infotainment system, and when this infotainment system is turned off, since everything's black on it and it's mostly touch-sensitive buttons, you get one big glossy black panel. It looks kind of sharp when the car's turned off. You also get this flat front dashboard, which I appreciate. Some people prefer that newfangled rounded dashboard and all the angles that these new cars are coming out with. This very classic flat front panel puts everything in reach. Everything's right where you expect it to be for both the driver and passenger. Now, I would like to see the infotainment system kind of tweaked a little bit toward the driver a bit, but then again, that will take away from that amazing flat front that this has. Some people may not like it. Some people may say it's a little bit too old school, but I like it. I think it's a nice throwback to the Corollas of yesteryear. It makes things a little bit simpler, and it doesn't distract your eyes away from anything. With that comes the instrument panel here, or the gauges rather, that are pulled more forward toward the driver. Nice touch, they're easy to see, they're not deeply recessed and prone to shadowing. The steering wheel is flat on the front, puts it really in nice reach of you. There's not much adjustment you need to do with the tilt and telescoping to get it in right adjustment. There is tilt and telescoping, but there's not much I need to do to get it there. Also, the Toyota went with these rounded air vents, really nice air vents that give it a sportier look. You still have the square ones up front here, or up in the middle. Everything just looks nice. The dual climate, or the climate control rather, the automatic climate control is right where you expect it to be, and it's very simple. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 buttons and 3 toggle switches. So there's not much of a mystery as to what button you need to push. You're not hunting for the right button. Everything's there, very well marked. It's contrasted with the gloss black, so it's very easy to see everything, and it's very easy to reach while you're shifting gears. Rest your hand on the gear shifter and the toggle switches, and all the buttons are within reach of your index finger. Small details that Toyota paid a lot of attention to made this thing amazing. The front seats are sport seats, so you have a little bit of bolstering on them. Not overly bolstered, so it's not like, oh my God, they're uncomfortable. They're just enough to keep you snug going around corners. The inserts are orange in this model, and they're really grippy. They're made of this nice grippy material that holds you in place nicely. They also get an orange accent tube. There's orange accents on the door. There's orange contrast stitching to really set this interior off. Moving to the back seats, you'll also get the similar orange treatment, orange inserts, orange tubing. But the big thing about the back seats is they are freaking massive. Just shy of 42 inches of legroom. Folks, that's mid-size range. That's further than mid-size. That's full-size car range back there. You can fit 2 full-size adults back there well over 6 foot tall, and they're gonna be plenty comfortable. Sure, the back seats aren't as comfy as the front seats, but they have plenty of support, and even an adult's gonna feel good back there, especially, like I said, with that legroom. Other things I like about the interior is there's not a ton of very hard plastic. There's a little bit here and there, some on top of the doors, some over here, where your dashboard, all your touch points are either lacquered plastic or soft touch. Even over here on the passenger side, it's still soft touch over there. So it's a nice touch that Toyota did just to ratchet this thing up a little bit. Now, where Toyota failed a bit is the powertrain. This powertrain is very, very underwhelming. 132 horsepower, 128 pound-feet of torque. Even with the manual transmission and control of the RPMs, this thing only gets to 60 miles an hour in just over 9 seconds. That's pretty slow. That's about a second slower than even the slowest cars in the class. It's significantly slower than some of the more performance-oriented models, say the Nissan Sentra SR Turbo or the Honda Civic with a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine. That's several seconds longer than those models. So that's a little bit sphincter puckering, dare I say, when you're accelerating onto the highway, but it's not awful. It's not to the point where you're afraid to drive it. It's just a little bit slow. Another thing I don't care for that much is the transmission. Yes, I love the fact that the 6-speed is here. Something that's kind of dying in compact and small mid-sized cars is the manual transmission. It's here, it's a 6-speed, it's modern. But what I don't like about it is its weighting. It is very light. It's not weighted well. It's not there to be a performance shifter. If you're grinding through the gears quickly, you can miss the gear because it's so light. You can easily just touch it and you're a quarter inch to the left and you missed your shift. So if there's one thing I could ask Toyota to change about the gear shifter is please make it a little bit lighter. Keep this manual, yes, or heavier. Please keep this manual transmission. It's great to have it, but weight it a little bit more. With that comes the fuel economy, because you have this lightweight transmission, you have this slightly underpowered engine, but where the Toyota Corolla excels is its fuel economy. The EPA rates this thing at 27 miles per gallon city, 35 miles per gallon highway, and 30 miles per gallon combined. Well, I'm going to tell you, I started this review at 36.5 miles per gallon, and that's combined. I drive highway and city, and I'm pretty much on that combined cycle that they do. I do a little bit more highway driving, but I still consider mine a pretty combined cycle. That's 6.5 miles per gallon more than what the EPA says it's going to get. On the highway, I average over 40 miles per gallon, like 40.5 when I looked at the gauge last time. I reset it when I got on the highway, 40.5 miles per gallon. That's over 5.5 miles per gallon more than the EPA says. So it's clear that Toyota sandbagged it a bit. All these automakers are now getting a little bit worried about EPA estimates not being accurate and getting sued, because Hyundai got sued, and several other automakers got sued for falsified EPA ratings. So now I believe they're sandbagging it just to avoid that. So that is what this car is really for fuel economy. But, Toyota, you have to get with the times, man. Nissan has a Sentra SR Turbo. Honda has the Civic Si coming out, the Civic Type R coming out. Even the 1.5T models are super quick. I think it's about time for you, Toyota, to find a turbocharged engine to drop in this thing. Maybe take the 2.0 liter from Lexus, maybe down its displacement a little bit, make it a 1.8 or maybe even a 1.5 liter. But use that engine as your blueprint. Make a 1.5 liter turbocharged. Give this thing 200 horsepower, please. It is dying for nearly 200 horsepower, especially in its SE model. Especially in this one I got, because it has a TRD rear sway bar that makes it a little bit better of a handler. The Corolla is not known for its handling. Add that sway bar back there for a couple $100. I think it's $309. That makes this thing a little bit tauter, a little bit tighter, a little bit more curve happy. So that would be a great combination with this. Speaking of that TRD equipment, the model I have came with a few other TRD bits. TRD exhaust, and you can hear the exhaust note now. Take a listen to hear what that exhaust sounds like. As you can see, it's not overly fart pipey. It doesn't sound like, you know, that rice rocket flying down the road and brah! It doesn't sound like that. It has a nice deep note that doesn't sound too pingy. This also has a TRD performance air filter that costs 80 bucks. That's a little bit pricey for an air filter, but okay. And by the way, that TRD exhaust system is just over $670. So that's a little pricey too. The TRD rear sway bar, $300 and some. Again, a little bit pricey, but one thing you have to remember is that includes insulation, and that includes your warranty remaining intact. Sure, you can go buy a boiler exhaust system and really free up that exhaust and give this thing a really sweet note, but you have two problems. One, warranty issue. You bring that thing into the dealership, there is a possibility, not guaranteed, but a possibility they could void your warranty for installing that boiler exhaust. Number two, you have to install it. Yeah, it might be cheaper to buy it, but you still have to pay someone to put that sumbitch in. So there's your problem. You're going to be well over that price. You could possibly lose your warranty depending on what dealership you go to. So yeah, there's some issues with going out and buying it. So you might be better off just getting that TRD option. But I suggest testing this thing with the TRD rear sway bar and without it. See which one you like. See if you like that one without the TRD sway bar. If it's good enough for you, fine. Don't spend the 300 bucks. But if you like the extra tightness that it gives you, you might want to go ahead and snag it. So overall, the Toyota Corolla is pretty good. You know, I can't bash it. I just can't. It has its flaws. It does. It's very slow, very, very, very slow. But it's not designed for that. And people who think this thing is going to be a performance car got to get that out of their head now, until Toyota decides to release a performance version of it, because it's not that. It's not going to be a performance model. It's designed for thriftiness. It's designed for comfort. It's designed to fit adults in the back seat, for goodness sake. So if you're looking for a car, if you have a family of 4, a family of 5, and your kids are getting a little older, but you're looking for something cheaper, this model is a good idea. And the base Toyota Corolla is cheap enough. The SE model starts out just over $21,000, and even with the bits I have, this thing only costs $24,000, and you're getting a lot for that money. So I suggest running out to Toyota, give this thing a test drive, but also check out the Honda Civic, check out that Nissan Sentra, check out how the Hyundai Elantra, because the Hyundai Elantra has that sport model that has a turbocharged engine, and it runs about the same price as this. That may be up your alley. So go out and check out the competitors. But I think you're going to find that the Corolla has a lot to offer if you can look past its lack of performance. So go ahead and check that out. Let me know what you think of the Toyota Corolla in the comments below. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below. I'm always active on YouTube, so I do respond to your questions. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you all watching. Talk to you guys later. Next week, I'm in a Honda HR-V. So we'll see you next week. Ciao.